Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 6 of season 2 of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, where today we're here back for the Spanish Grand Prix. Now obviously if you guys missed out on the last video that went live yesterday in fact, from the Dutch Grand Prix, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out. Of course obviously there will be spoilers in just a moment, so yeah, this is your sort of chance to go back and check out that video. But yeah, we're starting to get back into this season though. Obviously, like I said, check the video out. There will be spoilers in 3, 2, 1 now. So, after a win last time at the Dutch Grand Prix, we are back comfortably ahead in the Drivers' World Championship. 13 clear of Bottas there, a further 4 clear of Lewis Hamilton there. Tied with Mercedes at the top of the Constructors' Championship as well. So things are looking very interesting after the opening few rounds of the season. But the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend should suit our car a little bit more. Again, you know, sort of another aero and chassis-based circuit, not too much in terms of straight line speed requirements around here. So let's do this thing. So here we are then, ready for qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix, round 6 of the 2021 season in this hypothetical universe. But last time out, we were able to sneak our very first pole position for McLaren in this series. Seems kind of crazy, the fact we finished runner-up last year, we were leading the championship before last weekend's race as well, and we still were yet to get a pole position for the team. But points were awarded on Sunday at the end of the day. So maybe today we can try and make it 2 from 2. As always, I'll give you guys a quick rundown of the setup that we're using. A good job I did, so we can take a kilo of fuel out of the car as well. Obviously, pretty much all the same numbers for the most part. We just change the wing angles each week. But ready then for qualifying here for the Spanish Grand Prix. Maybe, just maybe, we can try and make it 2 in a row this weekend. And hopefully Lando as well is back to winning ways as we head down in towards the first corner. You can see our teammate running a fair bit less aero than us. So we should, hopefully, be able to make the time back up through the twisty bits. Through turn 3, easy flat nowadays in a modern Formula 1 car here. So yeah, no issues through there. Chucking it down in through turn 4. Avoid the wheel spin on the exit, although quite a high speed corner. Very easy still to get a little bit of snap oversteer, and you will find yourself in the gravel trap, running a bit wide as we head out down towards the bottom of the hill once more, and then through turn 7 and turn 8, taking a lot of curb both on the entry and the exit. Through turn 9, just a blend on the throttle there, not quite brave enough to take it fully flat at the moment, as Lando, after a bit of a rough weekend last time at the Dutch Grand Prix, seems to be a man on a mission as we head in towards the final sector here of the Spanish Grand Prix. Obviously the newly redone Spanish Grand Prix circuit is so much better than the old version here, as we thread the needle, try and just don't hit the sausage curbs, ride the normal curbs though. Out of the final corner, Lando Norris is going to be on pole position here for the Spanish Grand Prix, but I think, oh, we just get jumped at the line. Why does that keep happening at the moment in series there? 3rd place on the grid for the Spanish GP. That's still decent.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Norris, Verstappen, and Mr. Monaco. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Well, there we go then. Interesting end to the Spanish GP qualifying session. Then Lando Norris on pole position by just over 1/4 of a second there, but 7 thousandths separating Max Verstappen, myself, and Valtteri Bottas there. So we could have very easily ended up P4 at the end of qualifying there. Hamilton in 5th ahead of Sebastian Vettel, doing a good job for the Ferrari there. Stroll up in 7th after scoring his first points last time out. Seems to have a point to prove, but Alex Albon even outside the top 10. Sergio Perez, who finished 2nd last weekend, only down in 10th place as well. There are a couple of tenths of his teammates, so it's all a bit mixed up there. Then of course you got the likes of the Renaults. AlphaTauri Gasly doing a good job to get inside the top 10 there, a long way ahead of Capure, and then obviously you got the bottom 6 as well there. So yeah, a bit of a mixed up qualifying session. Let's dive in to the Spanish Grand Prix.
Welcome along then to what promises to be another fascinating Spanish Grand Prix. A race which saw Max Verstappen win on his first ever appearance with the Red Bull team in 2016. This after the dramatic coming together of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg on the first lap. Will we see more moments for the scrapbook here today? It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be. It's about effective damage limitation.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Mr. Monaco completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Bottas, Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel and Stroll, Leclerc, Gasly, Perez and Daniel Ricciardo. Verstappen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ocon, Daniel Kvyat and Magnussen, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Romain Grosjean and George Russell. Latifi and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
So then, there we go, both Red Bulls with penalties for the start of the Spanish Grand Prix around a track that generally suits them rather well on F1 2020 there. So a big blow for those guys in terms of the Drivers' and Constructors' World Championship there. I honestly thought Verstappen could have been a threat for the race victory today, and obviously Albon starting right at the back as well. A track that it's not particularly easy to overtake at. Yeah, it's going to make things very difficult for those guys. But for me though, it's given us a leapfrog up onto the front row, so we've got a nice clean view down in towards the first corner. If, of course, we can get the car started nice and tidy there. Obviously, a massive run down towards turn 1 here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Strategy is going to be quite critical here as well today, so hopefully, if we can get past Lando before the first round of stops, obviously we get the choice on tyres as well there. But yeah, reckons lap 6 and then 11 laps on the mediums. That should be fairly doable. We might be able to get the softs just a bit longer. But here we are then on the grid. 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix, and it's lights out, and away we go. Off to a pretty even start there. No, Lando really just activates the ERS and everything like that as we head down towards the first corner there. Bottas gets cleanly around the outside. As what on earth was that from Lewis Hamilton? 3 wide between myself, him and Stroll there. Gasly's had a worldly of a start as well. But that front wing damage is not going to help us out there as we're being swallowed up by the mid-pack here. Sebastian Vettel up the inside as well as Charles Leclerc there, as we have just been sent further and further back down the field here. And when are we going to get some luck in some of these races there? Hamilton way too aggressive off the start there, had the nose just about alongside and just continued to just try and brake later and later in towards the first corner. And yeah, this damage is not going to be raceable here, so we're going to have to go on to hards at the end of this first lap. Not too sure if Stroll got some damage or Hamilton got some damage as well there. I think, yeah, Hamilton must have got damage. He's under pressure from Pierre Gasly, who might be on for a podium in this Grand Prix in the early stages there. So Gasly having an absolute worldie at the start of this Grand Prix. The same can be said for Lando and Bottas. You can see on the minimap, those guys romping away at the front of the field there. But I think, yeah, Hamilton and myself both going to have to pit in. Stroll might have to as well. No, Stroll able to stay out there as we head down through the final corner of lap 1. We're definitely down, but we're not out just yet here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Obviously, Hamilton, oh, we got one of the Red Bulls, Albon, into the pits as well, so not too sure what's happened to him. But yeah, full new front wing, obviously, on the car. I don't think we're going to get the jump on Hamilton either. An 8.3 second stop. Not going to help us out as we actually get right up to the back of Hamilton on the exit of the pit lane there. But you can see on the minimap, everyone else already tearing through Sector 2. And we need to try and get past Hamilton again, first of all. So 3 big named cars out, well, not out, but very far back in this Grand Prix at the start. Verstappen as well, completely out of position as well in his Red Bull. So things have suddenly, yeah, given a lot of midfield drivers a lot of opportunities here at the Spanish Grand Prix circuit. Can we try and get a run on Lewis Hamilton as we head out onto lap 3? Of course, we will have DRS at the end of this one, but yeah, nowhere near close enough to go for anything in towards the first corner without that drag reduction system. So hopefully, yeah, we can still get past him sooner rather than later. Lap 4, a couple of small mistakes on the last lap haven't allowed us to get close enough to Lewis Hamilton here, and I'm starting to wonder whether the higher wings that we ran in qualifying might have helped us get onto the front row. But obviously that all very much got eroded before turn 1, and now we're struggling to try and get the run on Hamilton down the straights. A lot closer to Hamilton at the end of lap 4. Hopefully now we can get a good run on him down in towards the first corner. We're going to use pretty much as much ERS as we possibly can here. We can still see, even then, barely closing in enough. And again, another contact between myself and Hamilton there. What? I mean, that one was a little bit more sort of, we were just trying to stick the nose in. But Hamilton and I clearly not on each other's Christmas card list at the moment. Not that you're going to have to send them out for a while, but still. Again, close to Hamilton as we head on to lap 6 here. I feel like we're just getting deja vu lap after lap at the moment. And this time around, Hamilton going defensive on us. So we have got a bit of a better run. Breaking down the outside in towards turn 1. The same sort of move as Hamilton pulled off on Seb just a few years ago. But again, look at that. Hamilton just showing the nose. He's got absolutely no willingness to back out at the moment. This time round, we do get the run though. Again, what is up with Hamilton in this race? I've never known an AI be so aggressive on F1 2020. I don't know if he's just tilted that we beat him in the My Team career mode or what. But, I mean, we're finally through. And hopefully we can continue pushing on. The final couple of corners of lap 6. I've also just spotted that we have got a few guys into the pits on the mini-map. So we're going to be interesting to see where we do come out in this Grand Prix. I'm going to guess we're going to be just outside the points, in all honesty. As you can see there, Max Verstappen, I don't actually know where he was in this Grand Prix. Comes out a few seconds up the road there. Perez, about 4 seconds up the road as well. So yeah, I think we must be hovering sort of around P12, P13 at the moment is my guess. My God, Lando's already into the pit lane and we're barely coming through turn 7 and turn 8. That's just how far up the road he is at the moment. Through the final chicane once more though. Now is the moment of truth. Where are we going to re-emerge in this Grand Prix? We've done pretty well on the hards so far, but they're only going to get tougher and tougher to try and hang on in there towards the end of the Grand Prix. We're going to be back out in P12. So yeah, just outside the points then. Behind Ricciardo and Verstappen is in 10th place at the moment. Maybe we've got, I think we've got a couple more guys still just running out there. I think, yeah, one of the Alfa Romeos. And normally it's Giovinazzi who goes really long in these races. Towards the final couple of corners once again. We've got Esteban Ocon in the pit lane as well, as I'm guessing it's Antonio Giovinazzi. So we might just get ourselves back into the points in this Grand Prix. Yeah, Giovinazzi always goes long, but no, Ocon is still just ahead of Ricciardo there inside the points. So we're only one place out as all the Renaults come together there in towards turn 1 as Ricciardo tries to hook up the move on his French teammate there. And I think Ricciardo's pulled it off. I don't know if either of them have got damage from that. But hopefully we can still try and get past the pair of them as we just cross over the halfway stage. Ocon, though, also on hard tyres. A lot fresher than ours, but not too sure what Renault were thinking. The Renault car, generally a bit of a missile down the straights in the real-life Formula 1. Let's just see if it's the same here on F1 2020 as we get a really good run out of the final corner. And yeah, Ocon definitely doesn't have the same sort of Renault as he does in real life there. Down the outside in towards turn 1 here, and we are back up into the points of this Spanish Grand Prix. So every position gain now is a bonus, but it still is damage limitation as Lando and Bottas a long way up the road. We got yellow flags out in Sector 1. Is that Valtteri Bottas having issues in this Spanish Grand Prix? Is this race going to take another dramatic twist here? It looks like, yeah, the Finn pulling over to the wayside here and Valtteri Bottas out of the Spanish Grand Prix here. So things get even more dramatic and another hammer blow for Mercedes. It looks like neither of their cars are going to score points here in Spain. So after it was looking pear-shaped for us and like a golden opportunity for Bottas to take the lead in the Drivers' World Championship, we have been given a lifeline. Mercedes, truth be told, have looked like a bit of a more consistent all-round team in the early races of this season in comparison to ourselves, but finally there has been a chink found in their armour, and it appears still to be a few reliability errors here and there. And that is not going to make our day any easier as we try to get back onto the circuit. A complete day to forget in this series there, as we completely drop the back end in towards the final few corners of the lap there. And now we find ourselves behind Kevin Magnussen in this Grand Prix. The tyres are definitely going off at this later stage of the Grand Prix. Pretty much a full race on hard compound tyres has not been fun for us, but as we head back down in towards turn 1, up the inside of K-Mag, a very, very aggressive move, but it is a move that we've pulled off, and we're now back up into P12. Another day to forget. We only had one non-point score last season, and that was after we flipped it at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix season finale. It looks like already in just 5 races, or 6 races even, with an even better car, we're going to end up with twice that. Oh, new fast lap of the Grand Prix. So as soon as I say how these tyres are pretty much dead, still seem to be finding a little bit more in them. Looking back at it now, actually, I don't think that fastest lap was worth it, because all it's done is taken a bonus point off Lando Norris, who did have the fastest lap prior, who now won't get that bonus point, and I won't get it anyway because I'm not inside the top 10, so maybe I should have backed off just a little bit. But 2 laps to go here from Spain. It's been a tough old day once more. I refuse to let it become a theme in this series, but if people are going to be so aggressive on lap 1, it does make things difficult. Oh, there we go. No worries anyway. Lando's gone even faster. Coming through the final chicane though, ready to start the final lap of this Grand Prix. And yeah, like I said, another tough weekend here. We seem to have the pace in qualifying, but turn 1, lap 1. Hamilton just getting a bit too optimistic. He's been so just mediocre. I think that's probably the right word to describe it throughout the entirety of this series. And, well, it seems to be continuing at the moment. Perhaps he needs to retire from Formula 1, at least in this series, nonetheless. But Lando Norris, heading in towards the final few corners of this Grand Prix, he's been helped by the fact that Bottas, myself, and Hamilton have all had issues. But he has absolutely walked away with this one. If you have a look on the mini-map, he's about to lap Grosjean in this race. I think he will just stay out on the lead lap there. But Lando pretty much a sector clear of Pierre Gasly, who sits in P2 in towards the final few corners there. Had a decent qualifying session, found himself at the right place at the right time. And then Bottas' mechanical failure only did more damage and, well, helped out Gasly even more there. So Gasly's going to come through for P2. I think Stroll is going to come through for P3 there. So lots of different drivers getting podiums, just like we've seen in real life F1 2020. But had this race been a couple of laps longer, I think we could have got back past Hamilton and that little group. But unfortunately, P12 at the end of the Spanish GP.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
McLaren have pulled it off. They've won in spectacular fashion here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Mr. Monaco increases their championship lead. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Well, you've put me in a bit of a tight spot today, but I think I'll go for Pierre Gasly. He kept a cool head under pressure and made the most of some difficult circumstances.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. McLaren supplant the previous leaders, taking control of the championship. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Well, again, another memorable race from the McLaren career mode there. It really does seem to be delivering a lot of special and memorable results there. This time around, though, not for the right reasons, unfortunately, for ourselves. But if I'm not mistaken, that's 6 different drivers with podiums in the last 2 Grand Prix there from 4 different teams as well there. But Lando Norris, pole position, fastest lap race victory, 20 seconds clear at the checkered flag inside 17 laps. It's pretty decent going for our teammate there, who, yeah, nice to see him back on top after a really disappointing race last weekend there. Yeah, very much recovered back up towards the front this time around there. But Pierre Gasly from 8th on the grid to 2nd at the end of the day. They're a fantastic job done and a well-earned podium for AlphaTauri as well there. Lance Stroll gets Racing Point's 2nd podium in 2 weekends there. They're on a brilliant run of form as well there, with Vettel and Leclerc 4th and 5th. Again, Ferrari and Racing Point looking like big threats at the moment if they can keep the consistency up as well there. Max Verstappen a decent recovery to 7th ahead of Ricciardo, Ocon and Kvyat rounding out the top 10 there. And yeah, Hamilton and myself not scoring points means Mercedes walk away once again from the Spanish Grand Prix with no points on the board there. We finished just ahead of the bottom 3 teams, and of course Albon, yeah, never really made much of an impact, especially after the damage on lap 1 for him as well. That found himself down in P16 come the end of the Grand Prix there. And Bottas, the only man not to make it to the checkered flag. Luckily for us, though, means that we're still, despite that, in the lead of the Drivers' World Championship there. Just 4 ahead of our teammate Lando Norris there. 13 ahead of Bottas, 17 ahead of Lewis Hamilton, as now as Perez is starting to get himself into this title fight towards the front as well there, just by being such a consistent driver early on there. Verstappen still in 6th ahead of Charles Leclerc there, just 2 points separating those guys. Vettel still hanging on in 8th place there, and Gasly leapfrogs himself up into 10th. Stroll up to 11th place there. Considering 2 Grand Prix ago he was still yet to score 17 points on the board is hardly bad going, tied with Ocon there. And Albon down in 13th place overall. It really has been a disappointing start to the season for him there. Grosjean and Kvyat with points on the board, and then of course both Alphas, Magnussen and both Williams still yet to score there. And constructors wise though, 26 clear at the top. Ferrari and Racing Point get the jump on Red Bull and a Renault there as well, as you can see. And then of course you got AlphaTauri starting to get close to Renault once again there, and then obviously the bottom 3 teams as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. Like I said, this will not become a common occurrence. I refuse to let it happen in this series. But yeah, we will be back very soon for the duel in the Formula 1 crown. It's time for the Monaco Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.